My name is Ambasa, carrying 20-year experience. I do deliver training for Oracle, Postgres, MySQL, along with MongoDB and cloud technologies like OCI as well as AWS. We'll start with the performance tuning with the introduction part. Start with the architecture fundamental. When you, as a connecting to the post, you can say the as a client to my instance. So obviously you have to understand we are discussing on Oracle architecture. So performance tuning is purely start with the architecture. So where you need to know that once I connect to my utility from application side or from the client side, maybe you can also connect from the locally as well. An example, I'll be just connecting to my OS level first. This is my one of the connections going as a Oracle user and connecting with the user called. So the shortcut I have used here is A1, which indirectly first performing the CD part and then doing the SQL plus with some connection details. How to build this environment, I will show you that as well. That would be our upcoming topic. But today I'll just start with the architecture part. In the background, once you start connecting with the user called Basana, my username is, as I mentioned, this is my show user and this is my container name. I'm connected to one of the pluggable database called PDB, which is a prod PDB1. And I can just check my own session ID details, which is 26 now. I may expect as a DBA, you may connect from another terminal. The logging with again with respect to OS user, in our case it's Oracle. Now I have a bash profile where I set a lot of aliases. I'll be using this alias now to cover that I have referred this part as an SP and just check what is my SID here. It's a 141 and I'm just trying to check that how many users is expected in our right now logged into my database. One of the session which is logged in the left hand side, which is a session ID is 26 and the session what we are connected with the 26 with the username is Ambasa. Is right now used the SQL plus utility, sometime called module. So based on the module, you may sometime drill down the performance part, but just refer that this is the called session ID. Common confusion. Let's go to one more session. Going with the again OS user Oracle. This is my Oracle SI, sometime called instance name. So instance is a instance of sometime called system, and it's an ID called identifier. So Oracle SID, otherwise it's a system identifier. It's sometimes called instance name. Your database is consist of two things. One is your instance as well as the database. Let's now try to give you some further explanation on how to start. Your data in the background stored in the format of the table. How the table data stored? Obviously, it is in the form of table. But the table we sometimes call segment. The table sometimes we call object. The difference between object and the segment is segment will always take space and some objects, an example synonym, will not take any space in the table space. Since it is called as just an object, but is not part of a segment. So segment is the one who actually takes space in the table space. Okay, it's a space to take the segments. The segment is made up of extents and the extent is made up of blocks. We can have a blocks with a 2 KB, 4 KB, 8 KB, 16 KB, and 32 KB. Out of this, the middle one is a default block size, which we can change as a table space point of view, but from the database point of view, it is a standard block size, which is fixed until the database not dropped. So during the creation time, we can define this block size. Now the point here, you need to understand every row inside my block, sometime called that row is a part of this table, will have the position. So that position is called row ID. Let me quickly explain. So here is the one. Let's try to check. This is my one of the table. And this table will be there if the output says that the table may be exist or may not be exist. In our case, it is not exist. So this query, once you write it, you may write proper sentence or you may ignore certain options, or you may write some wrong information. What it says that your statement is not correct. That means my point here to explain like this, you will be connecting as a client, but backend it will start with a process called user process. It will go ahead and connect to my instance with a username and along with password. Runtime you can also pass it. Initially the request is given to the listener. And in case the listener is down, you cannot connect it remotely. Consider you have connected to user process to listener. If it is rack, it's a scan listener. Then from the listener, the request is given to instance, which is we call Oracle database instance, sometimes called just instance. And this instance is background will start one process called server process. Will get one ID called server process ID. And this server process will go ahead and check in my SGA the given user and his password is correct or not. Username and password. Along with do you have this privilege? If yes, it is checking all in this place in the shared pool data dictionary cache. And if it is okay, all three are fine, then it will allocate the PGA. Then you get a one connection. And that connection, what you get a called session ID. Now you write a query and that query will go ahead and start checking the syntax. If the syntax is not correct, this is what, let me just close the previous topics. Okay, the syntax is checked like this. If the syntax is not correct, an example I'll just write down. This is a table, but I'll say that I remove this option. You say that your syntax is not correct. So what it happens in the background, it will first verify after your connection established. You as a user process start sending the statements. The statement will be verified as a syntactic checks. If the syntax is okay, then he will go ahead and check the next part would be your object existence. Sometimes semantics checks. In the semantics, it will check, do you have privilege? Do you have object existence? If not, then you will get this message that it does not exist. If the table exists, it will give the output. If the table does not exist, then it will not give the output. So this is we call semantic checks. Not only just table existence, you may have a privilege to be access this data. If you don't have it, then you will see that insufficient privilege. So this is the privilege checks, object existence checks, and dependency checks. The dependency are the word. Do you have an index on that? Do you have any constraints on that? Do you have trigger? You may write some procedure, function, package, so on and so forth. So if this table you drop it, then this objects dependency, sometimes they may drop it along with the table, or sometimes this procedure function may become invalid because of the base object is no more exist. So hence you should always remember the syntax is verified, semantics is verified. In the semantics, it is important to note we have a certain plan stability in that outline, profile, baseline, SQL patch. So there are many more. You can say here SQL patch. We'll see that. What does that mean? So it will verify do you have outline, sometime called stored outline, profile, or SQL patch, SQL plan baseline, sometime called just a baseline. SQL baseline or SQL plan baseline. You may say it's a SQL plan or SQL plan baseline. So I have to remember this all are a part of stability of your plan. Now, until this, there is no as such plan built. Until this, there is no as such the statement. Whatever you executed, let me go ahead and check. I will go ahead and verify here with a login to as a super user. Let me reconnect. Or let's go ahead and verify in this example. Is any statement select the SQL text, its SQL ID, and we are writing some query where SQL text like, and this is the options which I'm writing here percentage and verifying you tried with this sentence. Let's go ahead and verify it here. Do you have any statement like this? Maybe may not be present. So it is what I can see. It's my own text. The one which I'm just checking, it is showing me my own text. So this statement is not succeeded. Due to that, it is not stored as of now. Let's try to go ahead and create this object. What I'll do, I'll just try to check the user. I'm a super user. I may go ahead and try to connect with this user again back to here. This is my user, show user. I'm ambassador user. I wanted to build my one more user called create user Scott identified by, and this is what it says. The user is there, but this user may not have that particular table. Let's go ahead and check. Is this table exists? Yes, maybe exists, may not be exist. But previously when I checked here, it says that select star from scott.dpt. It says does not exist. Doesn't mean that it is always give the same result. So that means either I have table does not exist. That means either I have connected to the wrong container. An example here, show container name. My container, other word, my pluggable database. So I'm in the wrong container. So hence it is not part of this container. This table is exist in a part of this container. So in short, we need to remember that in case of container database, you need to make sure that you need to connect to proper containers to verify the details of the objects. But let's try to go ahead and continue with now. Do you have any statements which start with this value, scott.dpt? Let me double check again like this. It says that yes, there is one statement just now executed with this particular query. So now start point of the architecture, I can give you one is SID. Sometimes it is called system identifier. It's called instance name. And one more we have a SID. It is called session identity. This is a kind of a SID, which is called session ID in short. Now we also have a SQL ID, which is your statement. Let's say you write this query, you'll get one statement. You also have a row ID for this will be called each statement will get one ID called SQL ID. Conditions apply. They are case sensitive. Each statement will have characters. Each character will have ASCII value. Based on ASCII value, it will have, or based on ASCII value, Oracle generate hash value. So that's a point to note, that we have each statement will have a characters. Each character will have ASCII value. Each based on ASCII value, Oracle will generate the hash value. So example, capital A is a different, small a is a different. Capital X is different, small x is different. Same thing if I try to write the query. Select star from this query, I'll write down capital F with from. So this is just a one case sensitive, or the case I just changed and verified that there is a true SQL ID. What it says that it may say there is a statement here. It's clearly mentioned that we are looking for, let me verify. I don't want this one. Let me ignore this query. Let me add this extra value. I don't want this one. Here. Let's put this. So I will just add my query and operator. And I need to make sure that wherever you mentioned where clause is already given, but put it in the proper code. I maybe return that query with which is having SQL ID and all. So maybe you just try to take, do you have SQL text? If yes, then just remove that SQL text from there. It's a read or SQL. It's possible. And in our example, we have given the where clause with the SQL text. And here I need to put asterisk. So now I can verify that two statements are available. I excluded my own SQL. This is my own SQL, where I said that filter case, starting from this, don't display this. It's not like. Now let's continue with the explanation on. I have a statement which is called this one. So every statement, what you need to tell, this is we call every statement will have own SQL ID. Based on the SQL ID, they'll get one more number. What is that number called? Hash value. This is we call hash value. This number is based on your characters, what you pass it here. Now, sometime if I type the same query, but in between I made it some spaces. Now, if I try to check, it is there with the spaces, and hence the space also considered as a separate query. Remember that point. Writing this kind of a statement for developer, it is not a big deal. From the performance point of view, I'm consuming unnecessary extra space in my SharePoint. This is what the bad idea. It's the other word. If you write the same statement, he will reuse the plan. Maybe, may not be, but again, he will reuse it. It will store in one place, either storing in one area, but if you write one time small letter, one time capital letter, or one time spaces, then he need a 3 times spaces. First time, second time, third time. This is like a unnecessary space wastage in my shade pool. Theory point of it's a shade pool, but this is the view where you are getting that information. The moment I flush this query or like this, flush shade underscore pool, don't do it in production. Now try to run this query. It says that now nothing is stored because of you have asked to take out. Now we will start writing again the same statement, number 1. Previously, it was getting some number. The same number will be repeated again. this will be as it is repeated. If you see here, it is like a as it is repeated. So you can just check here whatever value I can see in the previous, the same value I can see here also again. No change, but if I type the same statement with bit of remove these spaces, here you go. I can see there is a one more statement, and I remove the few more statement spaces, and I run the command. So what it says that every spaces will be considered as separate ASCII, and then due to ASCII there is a separate hash value. So due to this you get a different number or ID. So while explanation you need to tell either I can call SQL text or hash value or SQL ID is the other word. It's a representation of text. So what I can tell, instead of these three statements are present, instead of flushing this entire shared pool, can I ask to flush only this particular statement? Let's say this statement. For that, I need to be as a super user. I need to tell I need this command to run it. In this command, I'm writing, please remove the entry from the shade pool. Remove the entry from the shade pool is called purge. For that, he asked, you give me its number and where it is taken the space in the memory. So for that, I just add one more line, the address. If I write the address, now it says that you have three statements. They all are stored in different places called different address. So this is like how much, where exactly it's stored in this shade pool. It is represented as an address. So now I need to tell, I want only this query to be removed. I will write down this command. It will ask me, provide the address. Here, C stand for cursor. Cursor stand for shade pool. So we want, sometime it is sometime also called text. So the cursor or shade pool, sometime called text. So what we said, we wanted to remove this text from this shade pool. Which statement I need to flush? I don't want to flush all. I want to flush only the third one. For that, I need to give the address. I need to give the hash value. And then I need to say this capital C is a fixed value. I can pass here. This is the value. Then the second value is this one. And hit enter. Successfully removed it. Now go and verify what is the value it says. It says that earlier you were having three statements. Now you will have only two statements. I want to flush this second or the first one. For that, again, I will just write down the query. This is what I write down. +2.sql. And these are all there in the scripts here. The scripts folder, I'll just copy paste from here. This is my scripts location. And I'll put this in your today's folder or outside this folder. Let me just go back to my notes link. I can open the notes link again. And I'll just copy paste my notes link again. This is the notes link. Here's the one. Copy paste it. Hit enter. And you see that this script is available here in this folder. You refer these scripts, whatever I'm referring, as in my demonstration. These all are present here. I'm looking for one of the scripts flush options. Keep it this as it is. Let's minimize. Back to our explanation. what I said here, instead of flushing all the query, I want to flush this first statement. For that, I'll write down this plus 2.sql. So .sql is optional, enter. And I can just pass the address. This is my address of this query. And I just try to put the hash value here and hit enter. Common question, plan hash value and hash value, both are different. So we will go through those points. What is the hash value and what is the plan hash value? So flushing the bad query or flushing the query, is it really mandatory? No, it's not mandatory. And it's sometimes it is a bad options and sometimes it's very good. So when it is good and when it is bad, we have a discussion for the same. It says that flush successfully. Now we will try to run the query. So it says that you have removed only the first query, which is ID would be starting with F value, but that is no more existent.
So I had one question in regards to this hash value.
Hmm.
Since we are just wanted to understand, if I flush this hash value with from the shared pool, uh, the parsing will again happen if the queries are again been fired in the database, right?
So yes,
Yeah. Okay.
answer to that yes. If you say that now the back to our discussion on here, what I need to remember now, I need to tell like this. Whenever you write the query, it will goes to the parsing options. The parsing will have a syntax checks, then semantics checks, then it will go to the shade pool checks. In the shade pool checks, it checks, okay, do you have a text? Do you have a text means SQL text, SQL ID, or hash value? All are the same. It is sometimes called SQL statements. This SQL text, SQL statement, we normally checks in the library cache, in this views, but they are called as a shade pool. They are part of the shade pool, but it's a part of library cache. The next B value is execution plan. So execution plan, sometimes called plan hash value. Don't mix the keyword hash value and plan hash value. I need to simply say hash value is other word, it's a statement or is a SQL text. Based on your text characters, they given some number. That number is called hash value. But plan hash value, it is given a number for your execution plan. So that execution plan stored in this particular view, we call here SQL underscore $SQL underscore plan. Now expected further question. If this already exists, these two already exists, that means reuse it. If they are not exists, build it. If you reuse it, it is called soft parse. If you don't have it, then build it, it is called hard parse. Who does that? Optimizer does this. Now, 1, 2, 3, what you are doing it is called parsing. Now, before that, I need to tell you have connected through some utility. That utility may be SQL Plus, SQL Developer, or any application like WebLogic, whatever. You take any application. They are using username and password, the connection details. Based on the connection, IP address, port number, and the protocol what you use it. Plus, you will use the service name or SID. Then you will go to the respective listener and it will ask that respective instance. And then it will go to that respective service and server process will take the request and he will go ahead and verify username and password. An example. Let's go ahead and create one user here. I will try to go for first. Back to my alter session. Set container equal to prod pdb2. So I'm just connected to specific container, trying to create user ABC1 identified by ABC1 or A. This user is created in the PDB2. I wanted to connect to this PDB. I have to refer like this. Connect. The username is ABC1. The password is A. At the rate the host name. Right now my host name is, let me just check. Host name. And also I can verify my listener is running or not. This listener is running. What is the listener? The name is the listener. This listener is running on which PID is the PID. The listener is running with executable, this executable. Listener started with ENS executable with this listener name, random number given PID. Now using this details, I'll check the network statistics about the TNS. So this says that you have used 1521 port number. So this PID, it is here. And this executable is here. Now this is my port number. What I can do now, I can take connect command followed by username is ABC1, password is A, at the rate the host name, colon, port number, slash the instance name or service name. In our case, it's a PDB name. So the PDB name is .pdb2. I may write it this command. He says that you don't have privilege. So due to you do not have this privilege, your connection is not succeeded or logon denied. Now, if I type correct, now here my correct username, but password is not correct. Service name is not correct. He first checks the password. He never checks first privilege. He first checks these two values are correct or not. So now I may say, is it checks first this value or is it first checks this value? It depends on, or it checks the privilege. So now we will go ahead and see one by one. You initially given a wrong password. Along with that, along with this, I do not have privilege. That's another story. But along with this, I can just mention wrong PDB name. He says you're supposed to first provide proper these details. If this details is not correct, then this is not checked. This is not checked. The order would be after at the rate. First at the rate value will be verified. Then the username and password is verified. Then the create privilege will be verified. But in short, if you want to reach to your listener, the first say you are connecting, you're supposed to connect to listener first. His information is not correct. So that means you are not reaching to here. If you are not reaching to here, then you cannot check this all. So your listener information should correct. Your instance on behalf of that PDB information should correct. Then you should see that username and password is correct. Then you reach to create session. An example, I give the here proper PDB name, a wrong PDB name along with wrong port number. See, there is a possibility that here these two called address. Address should be correct. Then service name should be correct. Then your username and password should be correct. Then the privilege should be available. If you don't give this proper information, your connection will not be established. What is the problem here? The problem here is you're doing unnecessary stuff. It is called logon denied. But still to check this all, I need a CPU. So this CPU is you're burning unnecessary. Sometimes you go for connect, disconnect, connect, disconnect. This is one of the problem. So let's try to understand what is the order it checks. First checks the address. Then it checks the service details. Then it checks the username and password. Then it checks the privilege thereof. So currently I given the address wrong. Due to that, this error. Let's say I fix my address. My port number is correct. Now it checks the second value, PDB name. So let's say PDB name is correct. Now password is not correct. Let's put the password correct. Then it checks the privilege. This is how you should know what order it what and verify. This is very, very basic, fundamental part. Okay, so here's the one. We verified, okay, the user process is trying to connect to listener. It's okay. Listener means it has a name, listener name. It can be anything, doesn't matter. Followed by it has address. Address has again three values: host, port, protocol. Protocol, it's referred as a TCP in the example. Here, it's a protocol. You can take TCP or SSL, of many more options available. You can just ignore right now this. What I just mentioned, TCP is considered. Either I can give correct port, wrong host, or correct host, wrong port. Both are in other words, protocol wrong. So if this one of this is not correct, your address is not correct. The address is not correct, then you will not cross this value, or you don't cross this. If you don't cross this, then checking this further is not happening. So that's how things to note. Either listener down or you given a wrong address. Currently, I given here wrong port number. But he said that no listener. That means in this address, you don't have that listener running. So host name correct, port number not correct, or host port number, let's go ahead and take opposite. I'll take here the port number correct, but host name is not correct. What it says that, he says that this is not the correct one. So due to that, it is saying that it is purely unable to connect. So what I can do, I can just try to fix this. It is now perfectly fine. But here it says that this service is not correct. Let's fix this also. Now password is not correct. Let's fix this as well. Then you just get the privilege. Let's go to the super user, or I'll go ahead and connect to my normal user. He is administrator user in my case. I'll connect to this user. He's connected. Yes, his password is about to expire. Let's reset it. Alter user and username identified by password. Am I able to connect? Yes, it's able to connect. Now what happens if I try to connect with the same user? Here is an example. I have a privilege. I given this guy's privilege now. Alter instead of this. Alter, sorry, grant, create session to my user ABC. Now I given a privilege to him. Let him to try to connect. Earlier that user was unable to connect. Now he is able to connect. Can it possible to create tables? No, it's not possible to create because he need a privilege. So like this, what we try to understand very beginning, you should first check user is able to contact to listener with proper address. He's supposed to reach to instance. On behalf of instance, there is service. You can use the service, and then he will reach to through server process. Will reach to my schedule. Now here, I may tell username and password is correct. Privilege is given. But what is the additional? Let's go ahead and see that additional part. I'll go to back to my this user, and I'll say that alter user ABC1 account root. The moment you lock the account and this password you given is correct, your address is correct, service name is correct, but it is checking the account is locked. That means here username, password, and plus the account is locked or not. Account unlocked. And you have a create session privilege. Correct username, correct password, account unlocked, and create session privileges exist, then you can able to allocate the PGE, then you get the connection established. If this is not correct, further not verified. If this is not, oh, account is not unlocked, then this is not verified. If all are okay, then allocate the PGE. Once it is allocated, then your session gets established. From here onwards, you start with firing statements. This statement should not fire unnecessary with wrong syntax. If you do with typing unnecessary wrong characters, you're flooding my shared pool. Flooding, other word, unnecessary space consuming is called flood, or consuming unnecessary space. Now remember this part. This shared pool, if it is consuming 1 KB, doesn't matter. 1 MB, it's a bigger statement. So again, there is a possibility that how much is the statement you consume the space in the shared pool. It's possible. We can identify that. We'll see that in the next options, how to do that. But at this moment, what you need to tell, you are learning very basics, very basics, architecture part. In the architecture, you understood that how the flow works. If this flow now you clear, then you jump into the next flow. In the next flow, I need to start with noting down what is my IDs. I may get user ID or system identifier ID. It's called SID, session identifier or SID, SQL identifier, SQL ID, and row identifier. It is called row identifier. It's called row ID. Row ID is other word. It's a row ID. Sorry. It's a row identifier. Row ID, again, it is consist of file number, which is file data file number, object number, and block number and row number. I remember with the keyword FOBR. F O B and R together called FOBR. The reason to explain this is my creating a table. Let's say it's called .dbt or EMP. You take department number data type, department name, varchar to data type, and location, again varchar to data type. In this, I'm creating index, create index scott dot here dbt idx1 on scott dot or on dbt. Just example, and on this particular column. So now what happens? The table has a index. The index will have this column. It's called index key column. I can go for index on this pattern also. DB. This is we called single column index. This is we called composite index. It is called single column index. This is we called composite index. People get confused about which column to use index and all. That's not a big deal. It's very simple, but we will see that how that simple works. What you need to understand before jumping into index creation. It's very simple, but let's first understand the very basics. In these two, order also matters. The first column of this composite index, it's called leading column of the index. What is it here? Department number column is the leading column of the index. Other word, first column is the leading column of the index. So either I take department first or department name first. The first column is the leading column of the index. Sometime my query I may write this table writing where department number equal to 10. I may write the query where Scott.department, where department name is equal to HR. So did I used first column? Yes. Did I use first column? No. Then here it is using one method of access. Here it is using another method of access. Sometime here we call indexed skip scan. Skip word, you are not used this column in your where clause. Did you used in the where clause this column? No. If you're not used, you have used this one, but not the first one. Hence they call skip word. Skip is not skipping the index, rather it is skipping the first column definition mentioned in the where clause is not given. So what's the wrong here? IO will be more. If IO more, then there are many things more. IO is very, very important. So this is what one of the case where it's not correct, but still we will think of it or will understand further with practical about those points. The conclusion here, starting with SQL Oracle architecture.
Sir, how the IO will be more, because here it
Yeah,
is
yeah, I will, I
we are
will, I will explain it with practical. Okay, so
okay.
we are not into that topic, Mangesh. I'll just cover. Okay, so how come it is IO will more? Yeah, I will demonstrate it. Why it is more, how it is more, what is relevant, what is not relevant, all we will see with practical. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do that. And this session is recorded, so better you make sure that before joining the next class, at least walk through this. And this recording is only available up to 7 days. After 7 days, this gets deleted. So you have a 7 days to read this or go through this particular recording. 7 days is more than enough. People expect me to record all the sessions. If I start recording all the sessions, it will be misused, number one. And people will never ever go through the topics. If I give deadline of 7 days, definitely they will follow the 7 days, and within that they will start reading. And if they start reading, they will get up, and they will get up. That means they may ready to go with the next level. So hence it is only available on 7 days of retention period. So make sure that use this. You can see the recording as much as possible, finish it off, and get it ready for next level. Okay, let's move on. And this is not modifiable. Retention is fixed. So please go through it and walk through the whatever the topics that keep covering. So what is first of all I need to note that we are covering Oracle architecture. Okay, so I'll take all the questions. So once we start, I will ask the uh, you can see these questionnaires at the end or maybe in between. So once I open for questions, you may ask as many questions you want, so that it will not interrupt the flow, and it will be maybe it is answered your questions within the flow itself. So I request you to put as much as possible your questions in the chat box to avoid later to be missed or not to forget. So you can put it in the chat box. I can definitely take all the questions if it is relevant to this topic. If not, then definitely I will tell you that, okay, this is covered in the respective topic. All right, let's move to the architecture continuation part. We connected from the user process to the listener. Listener is okay. Then he forwarded to instance service and then server process. He checked in the shared pool and that's fine. What happens if I shut down my instance? Obviously, you cannot do that. So let's say example, I will reconnect to my this user and I unlock it. It's not an issue. Now I can try to connect. Everything is fine. Now I can try this way. I'll reconnect. I'm in this container and it is right now says that you don't have privilege to check this command, but I have another way to check. Name open mode from this view. What it says that column name format equal. Let me just do it. Is it read right? Yes. Shut down immediately. What it says that you don't have privilege. That's okay. I'll go ahead and connect to my super user. And I'll try to say that alter pluggable database prod PDB2 and close immediately. After that, I can try to reconnect. See what happens. First of all, I can verify it is mounted. What is the meaning of mounted? Mounted means it is a control file is open, but data files are closed. Common confusion. Okay, sir. Belongs to this PDB, data files are closed, but control file is still open. Whereas the other PDB, its control file is also referred, common control file, but data file is also open. So that's the meaning. Let me continue. Try to reconnect here. See what is the problem. What it is, database is not open. And this is a mislead. Does not mean it's the entire CDB is not open. Rather, it's a pluggable is. What is the point here? It is saying that database is not open because of data files are closed. Data files are closed is sometimes called database is not open. What I'll do, I'll just try to reconnect with supervisor. I'll verify this is definitely not open. Let me open it. Here you go. Close opposite is open. I opened it. Then I try to just check whether it is opened or not. Yes, it's open. Open for read write or open for read only. It is read write. I can just try to go ahead and connect. Yes, I can able to connect. And so and so and so forth. I can now do it. Now the point here is once you are ready to connect to my database, now you start writing the statements. In this statements, once you start writing, it has some processing options. Let's go to here. Scroll down and understand that what is the flow. The statement you're supposed to process it. The process is nothing but you have to do some different area you have to travel. You have to travel one area, then you have to travel another area, then you have to travel another area, and then give it other area. Like that, you have to go with the different areas to get that work done. This entire flow called statement processing and phases. Let me just explain like this. What I can do now, I can just try to go for connecting with back to Ambassador with the same flow. But this time I will try to go with PDB. Your choice. You can go ahead and do it. Password is expiring. That's okay. Alter user. So identify by A. That's enough. Let's now move on. Now what we are learning now? We are learning now this area. In this area, what I need to check? I need to check whether you are working with parsing, execute, and the fetch. So this is what you need to understand. How it works and all, we will see. Plus, your statement sometimes called cursor. Cursor means you will open some area, then you will open some area, you will bring the data, you give the data, and you remove this data area. Open the cursor, load the data, give the data, and close the cursor. So this is we call some cursor open, cursor closed. This is what it happens in the background. The flow is like this. The SQL statement which will go for which area? Parse. Okay, so how many phases it has to travel? Statement processing has to travel phases be parse, bind, execute, and fetch. Now looking for the parse, bind, execute, fetch. What is bind? We will understand again in our next discussion. So when I say that before going for the parse, what it has to do, parse the statement. Then he has to first check syntax, then semantic. Syntactic, semantic privilege, and then go for checking this area. If it exists, then reuse it. Is it exists? Then reuse it, called soft pass. Not exists, then build it and hard pass. That is what is the build here. So that means it is sometime called re-optimization. So simple example. This says that you need to bring, this is my statement. What is saying that parse operations go for optimization. Other word, query optimization. So you said that why we need an optimizer. So to build the, what it says, you need to tell it is building the plan. Now what do you mean by building the plan? He's supposed to tell or decide how to get the data. To get the data, I should read all the blocks. Let's say I have a table. The table is made up of, let's say, 100 blocks. The job column has a manager value. This is a part of this EMP table, and that EMP table is this an example. It has 100. Consider this is a block number 1, 2, 3, like that. We have consider it's 100 blocks. But the UR value present in the fourth block, an example. This value is present here. Whatever you're asking, that value is present here. The bringing this specific block is good, or first bring all the blocks, then search these blocks. That is good. Obviously, the first only bringing the fourth block is good compared to bring all the blocks, then scan it. This is a waste of time. So to bring only this block, it says use index. Or to bring all the blocks, he go with the sometime called full table scan. So now he is supposed to tell, okay, I need to bring all the blocks. No, I don't want all the blocks. So here, supposed to say that you have a data. This is a block. You have a data present in multiple places. So your value only present in the fourth block, or your value present in here, 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 everywhere. Your value, whatever you asked this value, it's present in everywhere except here or except here. So except these two places, your data present in all the blocks. Then what he says, so I need to not to only take one by one. Let's bring it all together and then store it in the memory and read from there. So what it says, from the percentage point of view, you are reading 80%. Okay, let me not to go with this. Let's better to go with read all the blocks. Reading all the blocks, it's called read each row and check that, or you take the row ID. Like this, you need to remember. Now, bringing all the blocks is not the all means, does not mean it is all the blocks. Let's say my table has a 1 GB size. So it does not mean it will bring all 1 GB data in the memory. It will bring set wise. First, it will take first set, then it will take second set, third set, fourth set, like that. It is bringing all one set at a time. One set means up to 128 blocks at a time. So irrespective what your table size, your table size is 1 GB, 1 TB, doesn't matter. He has to bring 1 GB data or 1 TB data at a time, 128 blocks, it will bring it. It's like a 8 KB block size. 128 block, if you take account, multiply this many blocks, it becomes 1024 KB. So in short, I need this much of memory area to store my data at a time. But DB cache size, whether it is a 1 GB, whether it is a 10 GB, whether it is 100 GB, doesn't matter. So I need 1024 KB, other word 1 MB. So I need 1 GB memory area in my DB cache to store this much of blocks. After that, I can bring one more set. Again, one more set. Like that, it is keep bringing. At the end, the conclusion here, the optimizer is the engine of Oracle. He will decide to go for build the plan, and he will say that, okay, I will use this index method, or I'll go with the full table scan method. So I'll go for full table scan method. So let's go ahead and check this perform backend, what it is doing. So let's try to note it here. what I'm trying to do now, I'll say that show parameter SQL trace. This is just not session label. I wanted to enable trace. Okay, so you can just try to check here. Select star from $V diag underscore info. In that, this is my trace file. Default trace file. I'll just open this different session. Log in with Oracle. Just check, is this file exist? No. Let's say alter session set SQL trace true. Then I'll just check here, is this file exist? What is that file? This is the file. Then I'll try to run select star from scott.dbt. Then I go and check, is this file exist? Yes. So that means in simple word, I asked what you are doing in the background, tell me. It's called tracing. What you are doing in the sense, this SQL, what's happening in the background to identify, I need to ask, please generate that file. True means generate the file. False means do not generate the file. What file? This file. For the file name, trace file. How the naming convention? Naming convention start with like this. Instance name, Oracle related, process identifier, SPID, and trace file. TRC, I'll just go for here. TRC and TRM. Trace file contain, trace file metadata. So there are two files in it. One is metadata and one is content. So if I just take up to this number, it will show me two files. One is content file, one is metadata file. If I open this content file, what it is, this is called trace file. It has a 261 lines. What it says that you have a initial explanation on this is my trace file number. This number is coming from this value. Now this value sometimes called PID, but this PID associated for your session 152. The session, sometime called session identifier, has two value. Let's go ahead and verify it here. Go back to this point. Ask him SID, my SID. 152. My SPI. What is the 52? 152 is this one. What is my SPID? This is my SPID. So let's take 152 is this number and 19863 is this number. Let's go to this trace file and just check what is given to me. He says that, okay, this is what it's given to me. Along with that, I can now check. Give me the SID, serial number, username. From, obviously, I'll just take so and so forth, whatever you take, status and module, so and so forth. But today, just introduction. We don't go with that very deep. We'll go with the bit introduction point of view. I'll say that give me the SID equal to 100. Only related to this value. What it says that this is the number. Let's try to understand here. What this says, we open the trace file. What we open the trace file. And what is the number of this session? 152. The 152 backend using this server process. Server process has identified server process ID. From the Unix point of view, it is a Unix process ID. But from Oracle point of view, it is a SPID. See, in the $V process, the column name called SPID. That SPID is the Unix process ID. Both are the same. Now you can use kill command, kill-9. So kill-9, you will use it. What number? This number. We also have a column name called SID and serial number. This is the SID and this is my serial number. Together, SID and serial number called session identifier. If you don't recollect these points, Repeat once again. Here's the one. Now, if you are start with the dealing with performance tuning, you should know what's going on in the background. There are many more identifier, session identifier, client identifier, service identifier, module name, action. So like that, there are not many. So in our example, we are dealing with my session is representation would be my instance name, my Oracle related. This is a Unix process ID, but we call it as SPID, server process identifier. And this number, we will use it for kill purpose. After that, you will see that this together called session ID. When it is created, this and so on and so forth. Okay, so let's say I have used one of the module where we connected. Obviously, I connected to PDB1. So this is my service name and so on and so forth. Now we have an end-to-end tracing. Okay, so that's another story. Suppose my memory is 1 GB, it will take 8 KB block of a different size? No. Block size depends on the your table space. So the table space, if you made it 8 KB, it will take the, again, you need to have a different memory area for different block size. So answer to your question, you should prepare different block size purpose, different memory area. If you don't create a different memory area, then you can't store data in different block size. So answer to your question, it is not in the same memory area, it is in different memory area. Let's continue. Now keep going. Now what it is trying to cover here. So we are learning this statement. Don't forget. So right now we are looking for this. In that, I'm just checking this all stuff. Now open, close, so on and so forth. Okay, so let's now back to what is the heading? SQL statement processing phases. In that, we are looking for pass. Then so on and so forth. Now, what is the statement I have executed? I have executed, this is my one statement, scott.dpt. Let's go to trace file. Just search with this number, sorry, this statement. And I may see all or just type scott.dpt. Is it available? Yes, it's available. When I searched, I used, let's go for here again. I'm in the line number 1. And my position of the character is first character. I'll take cursor right side. So I'm in the first line. My cursor position is just 28. I'll search with this keyword select star from what is the command scott.dbt. I just refer this all, but let's try to take copy paste this as it is statement. No glitch, rather to find here. I search with this entire. It says that not found, but I'll try to go with the just searching with the. So there is a possibility where it is not giving me the accurate, but still I'm okay with that. So now here, my point to cover, I'm in the line number 255. Let's say set numbering. So what is my line number? 255. So this statement's going for parsing and it is going syntax what you have written. Each statement will later get what value? Hash value. You write a query, but it will prepare hash value in the background. Let's try to go ahead and make it this line, tail it. Sorry, this file tail it. Let's try to see what's happening in the background. I will try to go ahead and now type it here. Select star from DPT where department number equal to 20. So I can see that here the previous statement is closed. The first statement start. What's the value it says? Parse. So here I did not use any bind variable. Hence it's called literals. You need to tell one is called bind variable, one is called literals. Currently, I haven't used any bind variables. We'll see that also with practical. Just a moment. Now, what I said, I can go for and check, parse, execute, and fetch. So while fetch, it is fetched twice. It is fetched twice. How much data it is given me? Maybe the output is only one record. It says that it is given me fetch cases row 1. But here it is nothing. So that means it is just given me only one record, not multiple. And it is accessed through what method? It is accessed through maybe index. So here it says that it is accessed through this value. He says that he first prepared the hash value. Now where it is prepared? In the runtime. Let me just write it down once again. Hit enter. 30, 20 and 30. So like this I just executed. Now I given this 30 value. What it says? You have a hash value, you have a memory address, you have a SQL ID, and you have a statement. This together called your statements. Followed by, it will go for the parsing. Parse, execute, and the fetch. In the case of execution, he has to decide the plan hash value. What method he has to bring the data. So he has to bring the data. Now, this value is different. These values are different. The same query, what he says, is using index. What method? Index scan. Okay, this index, let me just make him alter index. What is it index name? Let me just note of it. pk underscore dpt. I say scott dot pk underscore dpt invisible. I made it invisible now. What I made it? I just executed one command to tell that don't use that index or don't allow my optimizer to refer that index. Now we said that okay, go ahead and now run the same query. He says that now this time same query. This is the same query. Due to same query, you get the same plan hash value. Let's do one thing. Copy paste this value and put it in this notepad. Refer it and scroll up. This is the previous value. Here's the previous value. Here's the, and let's refer it. So now understand what's happening in the background. So one time it says that I will go for this particular options where it says access through index. What is the index name? This one. And this number is ending with 669. PLH plan hash value. Whereas the hash value is 597. It's a point to note that it is a runtime generated. Now here we see that this is a plan hash value, previous number. This is now it's supposed to change. Now this is we called here plan hash value changed. Is it the plan hash change? Yes, it's a plan hash change. But what is the right now we referred? Maybe I just picked up wrong statement. Let me pick up the correct statement. So this is department number 20. Here's one. 30 I need to refer. Okay, so let's not take it here. Okay, and just try to refer this again. What it says here. And also we will compare that with 30 also. Control S, save this file as a trace file output. Trace file output. Now just try to understand. Department number 20, department number 30, and department number 30. So since this statement is different, you will get different, obviously SQL ID, different plan hash value. Sorry, different hash value. And since you are using same operations here also you are using the same operations. Due to your operations are same, so your plan hash value can be same. See, due to this. But your statement is different. This statement is different. This statement is different. So in short, what this is, they both are accessing through index. Which index? Primary key department index. But they are bringing in different blocks. That's another story. But let's now understand this method. So you forget the different statement. You take the same statement. So since it is a statement same, so let me just increase the font. And now try to just understand one more time. If two statements are written with the same value, what are the same? The first you should say the statements are the what? It is generated runtime some number. That number called hash value. And due to this statement, it get one ID called SQL ID. So this is the same statement here also. Hence this number will be the same. Plus ID also the same. But since they are using a different approach to access the data, this approach, you are saying through index you're accessing the table. Hence your number is this number ending with 669. These are all ending with 669. And since you are using here only from the table, your approach is different here. So your numbers are different. So same statement, two different hash value. Plan hash value 1, plan hash value 2. Why? Because after this we did this internally we did this command alter index spot dot pk underscore dpt invisible. Invisible means don't use index or don't allow optimizer to use that index. Hide from the optimizer. Hiding the index from the optimizer, it's called invisible. Optimizer says you earlier I used this one, you now hide it, so I'll go with the table access. Due to, so here it's a one simple format. Either you first take the index, then go to the table, then read the data. What it says, first you read the index, take the row ID, and then go to the table. Or you hide the index, then you read it from the table. So either you first take the row ID and then go to the table, or only read from the table. Only reading from the table is full table scan, to index and then going to the table. It is called take the index row ID and table access by row ID. So at the end, what it says, you are accessing from which method. So I just mentioned you will be accessing from index. So here you are access table. So table is accessed by index ID. So which table you access the table is department. And which index you used this. But due to your approach is different, so your number is different. 669 and here it is a 547. So conclusion, at the backend, you are doing a parsing, executing and fetching. Plus you also see that every statement will get generated hash value, SQL ID, and for the case of execution plan to build, it will build the plan hash file. Now let me repeat. Your statement and your execution plan. These are two sections. Statements and the plan. If this statement is there, this plan is there, reuse it. Don't build again the plan. Reuse the old plan or build the one more time the plan. How do you confirm this? Whether you are building the plan again or whether you are using the existing plan. If it is already exists, it will reuse it definitely. So let's go ahead and check that whether it is reusing or not. So those all we have to understand at a very statement. So here we go. SQL statement processing I1. SQL statement processing other word, how the statement goes. What are the phases it will follow? Parse, bind, execute, and fetch. Currently, my query in this example, my query do not have any bind options. Let's try to take some bind options in the query. Open the query in the format of PI. Then search with the keyword bind. Is there any bind value? Maybe, may not be. But right now I do not have any bind variable. It is not showing me any as such bind options. Let's try to go for a bind point of view. So let's say we wanted to understand the bind, how it works. Let's go to the demonstration. What we wanted to understand the bind options. You will be writing a query. Let me just try it. So I'll just try to give you further notes for here. PT docs. I'll put it here in the PT docs, this folder, just for your later reference. In that PT docs, I'll just open the file name just to demonstrate. Here you go. Now what I'm trying to cover here, I wanted to write some statement to give you whether the statement is generating. This is the expected way to refer. Let me just explain once again. So here, what I just referred, you may give your own session details. Currently, what is the identifier value? Let's go for here. Control C. Or if you are open with PI editor, if I use a tail command, then Control C. If I use the VI editor, then escape colon Q exclamation, come out from this file, back to this particular session. This is my session where we started a demonstration part. What I'm trying to now cover, I'll just try to say exit from here. The moment I exit, then this trace file is now no more generate again. So that means it is now closed. Let's rerun the query again or reconnect first. I'm reconnecting with this syntax, SQL plus username, password, and prod PDP1. Connected. Now I may get the different SQL DAG. Say that I got different number. Why I get a different number? Because of my SID 270. Based on the SPID, I got a different SPID here. So my SPID is now 21868. Hence I got a 218685 file. As you already know that this file will not be generated until unless you are not enabling the trace. So what is the trace file name? Yeah, this is the trace file. Let's refer it here. So is this file present? Right now, no. I wanted this file to be prepared by using the command show parameter trace. It says that you can say generate the file by putting this true. Additionally, I can tell I need some identification for that file. I right now do not set any value. So hence it's follow the SID, ORA, SPID and .trc. But I want it should be certain value. An example like this. This is the name. What I said, I just set this value. Ambassa session, repeated query, just an example. Now I can try with the given statement. Is it file generated? Let's check. Still not. Why is it not generated? Because of this is still not enabled. Let's go and check the trace. It says that this is still false, but identifier is set. Let me make it true. Alter session set SQL trace. I make it true, then I can try with now checking this trace is enabled. Yes. Now still, if you see that the query, is it present? It says no. I'll just try to check, is it present? Yes, it's present. But this time it is having the, what it says, it is having the suffix. Before .trc, it has some suffix. What is suffix value? Based on what is your identifier you set. So our example, in this example, we set the suffix value would be here. So what is my SID? My SID is right now 144. Sorry, 270. Plus this, based on this SID, you have a SPID 21868. It's a random number. So 21868. Plus you have a suffix added. This is a suffix added. So start with the Aura SID underscore Aura underscore SPID or Unix processor identifier underscore the suffix what you asked to enable as a trace identifier and the file name. Now let's try to do this way. Write a query. Select star from DPT 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Now open this file and just check, is this file has a DPT value? Yes, it's having it. What I'll do, I'll just check set number. Set any. So number, it will give the number for each line. Escape, colon, set NU, get the number. Escape, colon, set no NU. Don't show me the number. I want it number to be displayed, colon, set NU. And followed by, I need to check this line or this query. It is present in the line number 45. Say N for next occurrence. Next occurrence, it is again available in line number 57. Next, again, it is showing me there are 57, 45, like that. I have just executed so many times. So it is just prepared here. So I execute it one more time. Let me run it. Then I can just open again, reopen, and then see that DPT, enter 1, 2, and 3, like that. It is just maintaining the you can see this is available in multiple places. Now what I can see, this is the one statement. I may try 20 also. I may try 10 also. I may take 10 once again. So in short, how many statement I executed? 2, 3 statement. What I can tell, this statement I wanted to understand by using the utility called TK proof. What does it stand for? TK prof stand for transient kernel profiler. What you have to say? Transient kernel profiler. Short form is TK prof. You can say TK prof. It's a transient kernel profiler. Kernel are the word where you are understanding about what's happening in the processing phases. When the processing phases is happening, what's going on, I want to check that. It's called transient kernel. And profiler, it is called profiler. Okay, so that's how transient kernel, you have to say transient kernel. So this is what it is, a TK proof stands for. Now in the TK proof, it says that we have different approaches. You want to list the SQL statement present in this particular file. What I can say, I wanted to find out, but I wanted to find out the SQL statement. What we said, I wanted to get those statement which is user executed, not by internal executed. So one is user executed is called select star from scott.dbt, where so and so forth. This is user executed. Internal executed, it is called recursive statement. We call here recursive statement. This is an internal statement. And user executed statement is called non-recursive. It is user executed. So now what we want number of statement is executed by user. For that, I will say record, give me the output, the file name, I will mention it. In that, show me the non-recursive statements in given trace file. What I will do, I'll just try to say here. This is the file, what we generated just now. This is the file. In this file, I'll say that tkprof. This is the file. I need it. Let's say I'll give just number 0, 1.txt. But before this, I need to add value record equal. Hit enter. What I given tkprof. It's a utility name. Which utility? It's a part of my here. Let me just give it here. 1 minute. Here. What's the problem? 1 minute. Here we go. I executed. Let's. This is a problem. I need one more file which is for output purpose. Let's take one more output file. This is my output file. I'll just make it the same value with the output would be output file. You ignore the output one. Right now, I'll just take the record one. If I open the record one, it will say that how many statements you executed. You executed these many statements. The command you executed show parameter, so and so forth. So whatever the value you given show parameter, internally the show parameter command is executing $v parameter. Okay, so this show parameter internal using $v parameter. Other than that, you have executed this statements. Where it is recorded, it is recorded in this file. So now you have to remember after tkprof, you give one trace file name, space output file name, space record equal to, and one more file name. So file 2.txt. You give anything. Now, what is this file? Original trace file. Original trace file. And this is not a human readable format. What is another file? Output file. This is a human readable format. Converting trace file into human readable format is what the purpose of tkprof. Let me explain once again. I'll try to come out from this file. Where's my original file? Let me explain it again. This is my original file. Ask him, original file is this. How do you find out the original file? Yeah, this is the tkprof. Sorry, this is my trace file. Open the trace file again here. LSF and L. Is this file present? This file is not exist because we have added some suffix here. So due to suffix, I need to put asterisk at the end. So I got this file. To ignore the remaining file. This is my original file. What I'll do, I'll say that tkproof space the original file name space, let's say output2.txt. Generated, open this output.txt in the PWD. I did not go in the full path, so I just open this. Now in this file, same story is written. What it says, this trace file is now you converted in the readable format. Scroll down and here you should see in the below section these columns. Let's scroll down further and you will see this box. This box says that here you will be following parse, execute, fetch. This is we call SQL processing phases. In that you are following 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 column, except this call column. So you need to remember, this is we call physical read. This is we call logical read. But you forget this right now. You need to remember, this is my total time taken. You make it this minus this, you'll get wait time. Like this, there are multiple discussions still pending. The purpose of today's topic is introduction of the architecture. Architecture says that your SQL processing phases. What is that? SQL backend processing phases. In that SQL processing phases, what are the phases we have? Parse, bind. Bind is not displayed here, but it is one of the options. Execute and fetch. So overall phases says 4. But this is not always happens because in my query I don't use bind variable. So now you see parse, yeah, this is the correct. Execute, yeah, this is the correct. Fetch, yeah, this is the correct. So how much record is given? 5 records is given. But how many times you fetch the data? 2 times. Same way, if I search with the keyword DPT. Now you tell me how many times I executed a query DPT? 5 times. How many times you executed a query? It is a 5 times. How many times you checked in the library cache? 5 times. 5 times parse, 5 times execute. So there is possible 1 time parse, 5 times execute. So this is we call 1 time parse, 5 times execute, or 5 time parse, 5 times execute, which is good options. So 1 time parse is good option compared to 5 time execute. This is a good option compared to this. But still we have to further drill down. But what is the conclusion here? The same statement I'm parsing, I'm executing. Again parsing, again executing. So this means first time it may be not there in the library cache. If it is already present, then reuse it. If it is not present, missing in the library cache. How many times? During the parse, if the statement is not exist, then it will give the value 1. Let me just explain like this. Come out from this file. This is output 2. What I'll do, I'll just say here. Don't do it in production. Say here. Alter system plus state. Flushed. Now rerun the same statement. Done. Now convert your trace file again with the third. Open the third file. Search with the DPT. Now you tell me, it is flushed? Yes. Previous value is 5. Now value 6. Now this time it is not there in the library cache. Is it present? No, it is missing. Now is it present now? Yes, it's now present. So let's now go for one more time. Go for here, rerun one more time. This is the, as per this output, you already have 6 time. Let's take now. 7th, 8, 9 and 10. Now make it conversion again. 4th. So open the file. See that content, DBT. So how many time you done? 10. Out of 10 time, how many time you missed? 1 time. So 1 time hard pass, 9 time soft pass is what the definition. What it says, 1 time hard pass, remaining time soft pass. So that's how hard pass, soft pass comes into picture. So you need to tell, one is hard pass. What is that hard pass? Missing in library cache. If it is missing in library cache, obviously you need to build the plan. It may be missed or not non-shareable. Either missing in library cache or non-shareable, still present in the library cache, but it is non-shareable. When it will be non-shareable, there are 63 reasons why statement will not be shareable. In that case, it will go for the hard pass. If it is hard pass, then maybe I can just check what is the problem, why hard pass is happening, or what is the conclusion of the hard pass. And at the end, what I need to say, your statement is opened, perform the pass. If it is bind variable, then use bind, execute, and fetch, and then close it. How to check it is closed or not? You can just open this again, come out from this file, open this original file, there search with the DPT and see that. What is it called? Statement is opened and later it's closed. So this is opened, this is closed. Like this, statement is opening, closing, opening and closing. Automatically open, automatically close. It's called implicit open cursor. Explicit open, you have a cursor topic, PLSQL. There you see that how to open, but now we are not learning PLSQL, but here you can say implicit or explicit. We open cursor. And this is automatic open. Not just automatic open, close, and all this stuff. Like this, automatic open the cursor and close the cursor. Cursor open and perform the activity and close the cursor. As a DBA, what is my role here? If you want to understand what is your role, generating tracing is your role. Now, how do you generate a trace? Is it only one method? No, obviously, not just one method. So you can do it your own session with ultra session, so on and so forth. If you want to generate the trace for other sessions, obviously you will have to use some other methods by using certain other methods. What are the other methods? I can use different methods available. And there, one of the method would be using Oracle debug. Another method would be, I can set this Oracle debug options. This is the one method. There is another method I can refer using this trigger followed by this sentence. There's another method which I can use it using this package, dbms_monitor, or I can use the one more package called dbms_session, or I can use one more method called dbms_system. So we have different packages available to generate the tracing. What is that? DBMS underscore session. Here, right? Control F, DBMS underscore. What is the first method? I'll use a DBMS underscore system or DBMS underscore monitor or DBMS underscore session. So you have a multiple package available or a debug or you use parameter. What is the parameter? Trace underscore. So here SQL trace. So you can use a SQL trace. Like this, you can use different parameters to refer. So how do you enable it? So you can use different approaches. What you want to collect? It's another story. You want to collect only this information, or you want to collect these informations. If you want to collect only this information, 153 trace. If you want to collect this informations, majorly this information, along with this, 146 tracing. So these are the tracing levels. So again, tracing is one of these. So why I should do trace? To understand backend how processing happen, whether it is stuck or it is moving. Either it is stuck or it's keep moving. Keep moving, then how do you refer? And if it is not, other than that, understand about what are the bind variable used, plus is there any parsing wrong parameter has been referred. Those all stuff to understand, we go with tracing options. Like this, you will be going ahead. This just as I mentioned, it's an architecture part. It's just a beginning. Okay, so need to remember lot many things you will be understanding later. Definition they may ask in the interview. What is selectivity? What is cardinality? Tell me what is SQL profile? What is baseline? How do you start your tuning? How do you read the AWR? There are not many questions is expected. And those are just a simple answer once you start knowing the basics. Along with that, topic wise, if you know those terminology, there how function works in terms of let's say if I ask you, tell me histogram. So it says that histogram is assume you have a distribution, so and so forth. No histograms available or histograms are available. So there is a terminology where selectivity depends on histogram and the histograms depends on distribution. This keyword is important. And if you don't know this keyword, then I say that due to histogram problem or due to data distribution, the plan is not selected wrong, and due to that your query gets slow. Then you don't know what is histogram, you don't know data distribution, and you only know database is slow. You only know that please help me to solve. That is not the answer. So you should first know what is the data distribution, what is histogram, and where it is comes into play a role, if it is a good or bad. So those all you should start learning properly, and then you can decide or you can take a conclusion. It's a DBA responsible or developer responsible or together responsible to answer the slowness to be solved. That's it for the today's session.